Hi from sunny Essex in the UK. Believe it or not, you're not in California. What you see in front of you is actually the beautiful county of Essex, and you'd be forgiven for thinking that this is wine field. It's not. I'm sure. I think it's kale or something like that. Combine harvest has just gone by me, so they're obviously getting ready for the harvest next month. But I just thought I'd show you a bit around the area. This is just outside Epping, in as I say, in Essex, about half an hour from London if you go on the motorway, basically, if you ever come to this area. And this area is interesting particularly because what I'm going to show you just down the path here is there's a famous punk band, a punk anarchist band from the late 70s, early 80s called Crass, who you may have heard of, and they live down here in a place called Dial House, which is I think a 16th century sort of mansion which they've been there I think for over 40 or 50 years. I think Penny Rambo and the musician's been there since 1962. So it's an area which is quite famous. They don't class themselves as anarchists. I think they call it an open house because anyone can go in there, and I say they're at Penny and G. The rest of them, they're artists and musicians, and they still do regular gigs in London, mainly at the Vortex in northeast London. But I just thought I'd show you this area. So this is where you're looking now. It would be towards Cambridge over there. And if you're up West Essex, you'll probably realise it's quite high compared to East Essex, the lowlands, so to speak. It's quite rolling hills, and actually once or twice when I've come up here on the motorway, your ears actually pop as you come towards Harlow. So it shows you're actually coming above sea level, you know, to be here for your ears to pop. And if you go over the other side, you see the hills. You can actually got a brilliant view of the Thames Basin and the Shard and the new skyscrapers that are going up over there. And so it's a nice area. I quite like this area when I first moved here because it's not too far away from London, and it's not in London itself. So you know you can go and immerse yourself in the energy of London when you want to, and you can also get away from it. And it's a particularly nice time of the year. I like the Essex, and UK is nice in the summer like everywhere, but we can have some severe winters. Recently it's been more temperate winters, glad to say, but as you can see it's quite dry here at the moment, so it's been quite wet compared to last summer. But the rain always, people underestimate the importance of rain. I mean, rain is so important. I think it's the most precious commodity we've got. Not only worms to irrigate the soil, but crops, and to wash the filth away from the street. And you know, 99% of life on this planet is water based, so it is absolutely precious, water. So just down the road here, as I say, the track in front of me, the London Transport Metro, you could say, used to come as far as Blake's Hall over there at one time, but about 20 years ago they closed it down. So now there's a steam locomotive that runs between Epping and Blake's Hall, which is purely a tourist attraction. I think it got the #1 tourist attraction award a couple of times. I've never actually been on it myself, but it's an old steam train, and if you come to this area it's worth doing. In Essex we've only really got one major city, which is Chelmsford. I think they're looking at making Southend a city at some stage in the future. I think it should be, because I think Southend's the biggest place in Essex in demographically, and I think it's I rather like the name. It's got an airport, Southend. I rather like the name Southend City on Sea. I think sounds quite fitting. So Essex, you know, is I've lived here the best part of my life, and it's had a bad reputation. I mean, particularly in the 90s, but I've never lived really anywhere else. And the people are, on the whole, working class, but very modest. And I've always found it a very, very friendly place to live. You know, I've been to Surrey a couple of times, and you know, believe it or not, you know, you do get gilded thugs, you get gilded yobs, as they say. And they can be just as nasty. But Essex, like anywhere, you know, it has its faults. I think it was it the poet Wordsworth or someone who said that Essex is the jacuzzi of the soul. Now I don't know what he meant by that, but maybe he was out of his head on something. But also, you've probably heard of Constable. I think Constable and Turner did their art here in Essex. Some very, very pretty picturesque places. Rather like you see in a TV show, you probably remember The Avengers, where you go to a quaint English village. So come up in front, that's the Blake's Hall to Epping locomotive railway. I think it's only running at the weekends at the moment, but if you like steam engines and the Flying Scotsman, I think it's well worth a trip on it. Yeah, I say here, great place to walk, great place to train, and Penny, who lives in, he's original member, he's a drummer in the band Crass. I think he said he told me once that he moved here because, you know, he spent about 2 weeks driving around southeast England looking for somewhere that was right for his mind, and he found Dial House, which I'll show you in a second. Dial House, and the Crass people still live there. Steve Ignorant, I think he was the youngest member of the band. I think he's now a lifeboatman. I think he's completely turned around. They could have made a lot of money, but they considered that selling out to the punk ideal, and they gave all the money away to firemen's causes, the miners' strikes. They never, even though they had opportunities to make millions, they turned it down. They thought it wasn't for them. They'd lose their legion of fans. So they live rather modestly by growing their own crops and still do the art. There are no spring chickens anymore, but I sometimes pop in there. As you see, up there is the Epping to the Blake's Hall to Epping Railway. Let's go through the arch. So it's into the middle of nowhere. Over there is Shooter's Hill, where there's some nice pubs, and just coming through the archway here. This is Dial House just in front of me. We're coming up to it. How can you bear to wait? I know. Here it comes. I don't know if they're in today. I haven't made any plans to come over, but they're usually, you don't really need an appointment, you know, to pop in. This is the Dial House, the one only. Very picturesque 16th century cottage. Over there, Dial House. Beautiful garden. It's full of their own artwork, and there it is, Dial House. Beautiful cottage. Looks like they've been working on the garden today. Another time I'll try and go in there and make arrangements to do a little interview with them, which for anyone who remembers Crass, late 70s, early 80s, I mean, they were a good band. They had, at the time of the Falklands War, which, I mean, I was in the army at the time, they had a song called How Does It Feel to Be the Mother of 1,000 Dead, which is all about Margaret Thatcher. And when you knew people that died in the Falklands, it had, you know, a place close to my heart, to be quite honest. There's the garden. They do all the their own vegetables, etc. There it is. So they're getting on a bit, but they still do it all, and they cope very, very well. And you never believe they lived here, actually, because you just come to another farm, and there you can see the cows there. Poor devils. Yeah. So up the road here as well, you're coming up to North Weald, which is not far from where I live, and in World War II, North Weald was quite famous, not only in World War II, but I think during the Napoleonic War, there's a Napoleon fortress up there, which is underground, which is still there. It's very, very useful strategically because it's on a high area, and the Napoleonic fortress is the British took the Napoleonic War very, very seriously, because the other day I was in Clacton, I noticed they've got Martello towers all around the country, and these Martello towers, I believe, were basically gun points for the British should Napoleon Bonaparte's army invade. Hello. And they took it very, very seriously. What's your name? It's like a Halloween cat. So this is no area, and up here you'll probably see in a minute, you'll see what they call tank traps everywhere. These were built during World War II, should the German army have invaded, particularly artillery and tanks. The idea of tank traps was to prevent them getting towards the city, and up here you see some of those. A lot of them are quite low down now. I mean, you're looking at 70 years being in the soil, you know. And also, I think during the Battle of Britain, Douglas Bader, you may have heard of, he was a famous British RAF fighter pilot who lost both his legs, but despite that he went up again and flew again for the RAF, and quite a few bombing range. I think a lot of these people took off from North Weald Aerodrome, which is still there, and you see it. Probably heard of the British actor Kenneth More. A lot of those films about the RAF, Kenneth More played him in the movie about Douglas Bader. Nothing to do with the Baader-Meinhof gang. Baader-Meinhof was I think a Marxist gang in Germany in the 1970s. No connection at all. So I see some people like the stimulus, other people like peace and quiet and serenity, hence they build the cottages here. And a few years ago they did try, I think this area was owned by British Telecom, and they tried to put a hotel here in a massive housing estate, but Penny and the Crass and local community fought them off, for the time being at least. But these money speculators, they're everywhere, aren't they? So as far as wine region goes, you can grow wine in the UK, but it's not the south of France and it's not California. It's just too cold. I mean, I have seen vineyards here, but and tasted British. They usually call it fortified wine, but I think the average Frenchman's response to it would be Sacre Bleu, which is not that impressive. In France, I mean, I've seen vineyards in Paris. Paris is marginally warmer than here because you're going towards the south of France, and that's better. So there's the tank traps I was talking about. I think there's one even there. I think that's a tank trap. But those, see those there? Those are tank traps, believe it or not. And they were put there during World War II. There's loads of them around all over the place, basically to stop what is known as the Hun from invading the UK. I think they'd have had trouble here anyway, I mean, because of this terrain, but old guys with pitchforks waiting to take them on, etc, etc. So I think they had enough to cope with the Russian front, to be quite honest. And so there it is. I just thought I'd show you Essex. Another time I'll take you around the North Weald Redoubt station, which was basically, it's up here, and it was used as a basically, I mean, my friend Eddie will tell you more about it, but basically used for navigation and communications. I mean, you're looking at long before the internet came around, and I think it was last used in the 1990s, so 20 odd years ago. It's been out of date. Now it's a shame English Heritage can't use it, you know, develop it and use it. Like over the other side, there's Kelvedon Hatch, I think it is. There's a nuclear bunker over there, which is got 15 feet of concrete on top of it, which is a very interesting place to visit if you're in this area. And this was in the 70s. They really thought there was a chance of World War III starting with with Russia. When I was in the army, you know, it's fascinating to think that, you know, those Russian rocket launchers and everything that we learnt about, protecting the army on the Rhine, it's fascinating now to know that they're allies. How things change. So yeah, this here, believe it or not, is actually part of the original Roman road. Apparently, the Roman road goes through there. It's obviously very, very deep down because of what do I call it, sedimentation. The geology changes, so the Roman road is underneath here somewhere. And on the other side, you will see the city of Chelmsford. You can't leave a bit too low here, but the city of Chelmsford is over there, and you see more tank traps here. There they are. There's probably millions of these tank traps all over the UK, here and there and everywhere, and it's obviously not worth the MOD's time taking them out, because they're not exactly an eyesore in the same way as you might say that one of those wind farms. For those that aren't in the UK, wind farm, basically they're putting them offshore in the UK. Massive, like, windmills that are run on, I think, dynamos or something. I mean, if the mad Spaniard Don Quixote saw them, he would probably think they were giants and try and attack them. But they're not. But I've heard they're not very effective. I've heard that it takes about 3 to even boil a cup of tea, but I'm not sure. But they are putting thousands of them, what, about 15, 20 odd miles off the coast of the UK. So some people consider them an eyesore. Other people may say they've got some aesthetic quality, which I can't see myself. Things change. I mean, when the Eiffel Tower was first built, I think they thought it was ugly, but now it's seen as a symbol of beauty. The Eiffel Tower. And the Northfield Redoubt Station is just over there in that group of trees. You wouldn't think it's quite a sinister place to go to be quite honest, because it is. You could hide out there for weeks or months probably and no one would even know that you're there. The sheds that are there are actually falling to pieces after so long. So as you can see the rolling, I'm going up, actually uphill now. About 9 months time, because you know, if you're in California, I don't know wherever you are, but wherever you are, we have, in the UK, we have definitive seasons. You know, we have 4 seasons, and if you're in California, in our terms, it would probably be summer every day. You know, August every day. But here, because the season's only, you know, summer season is only what, 4 months, 5 months at the most, you get blackberries. These blackberries developing next month will be ready. Very nice to make jam out of those, etc. There's a tank trap there. City of Essex. So there you are. Next time I'll take you around the Redoubt Station, which is an interesting place to say the least. A couple of old bombshells in there which have just been left there. Mobile phone masts there. So there it is, West Essex. Okay, take care with you. Bye for now.